Examining Our Repentance by Thomas Watson. Thomas Watson was a Puritan preacher who lived from 1620 to 1686. The following is taken from his The Doctrine of Repentance. If any shall say they have repented, let me desire them to try themselves seriously by those 7 effects of repentance, which the apostle lays down in 2 Corinthians 7, verse 11. Number 1, carefulness. The Greek word signifies a solicitous diligence or careful shunning of all temptations to sin. The true penitent flies from sin as Moses did from the serpent. Number 2, clearing of ourselves. The Greek word is apology. The sense is this: though we have much care, yet through strength of temptation we may slip into sin. Now, in this case, the repenting soul will not let sin lie festering in his conscience, but judges himself for his sin. He pours out tears before the Lord. He begs mercy in the name of Christ and never leaves until he has gotten his pardon. Here he is cleared of guilt in his conscience and is able to make an apology for himself against Satan. Number 3, indignation. He that repents of sin, his spirit rises against it, as one's blood rises at the sight of him whom he mortally hates. Indignation is a being fretted at the heart with sin. That is, indignation is a being distressed at the heart with sin. The penitent is vexed with himself. David calls himself a fool and a beast. Psalm 73, verse 22. God is never better pleased with us than when we fall out with ourselves for sin. Number 4, fear. A tender heart is ever a trembling heart. The penitent has felt sin's bitterness. This hornet has stung him, and now, having hopes that God is reconciled, he is afraid to come near sin anymore. The repenting soul is full of fear. He is afraid to lose God's favor, which is better than life. He is afraid he should, for want of diligence, that is, for lack of diligence, come short of salvation. He is afraid lest after his heart has been soft, the waters of repentance should freeze, and he should harden and sin again. Happy is the man that feareth always. Proverbs 28:14. A repenting person fears and sins not. A graceless person sins and fears not. Number 5, vehement desire. As sour sauce sharpens the appetite, so the bitter herbs of repentance sharpen desire. But what does the penitent desire? He desires more power against sin and to be released from it. It is true he has got loose from Satan, but he goes as a prisoner that is broken out of prison with a fetter on his leg. He cannot walk with that freedom and swiftness in the ways of God. He desires therefore to have the fetters of sin taken off. He would be freed from corruption. He cries out with Paul, "Who shall deliver me from this body of this death?" Romans 7, verse 24. In short, he desires to be with Christ, as everything desires to be in its center. Number 6, zeal. Desire and zeal are fitly put together to show that true desire puts forth itself in zealous endeavor. How the penitent does bestir himself in the business of salvation. That is, how he busies himself, rouses himself in the business of salvation. How he does take the kingdom of heaven by force. Matthew 11, verse 12. Zeal quickens the pursuit after glory. Zeal, encountering difficulty, is emboldened by opposition and tramples upon danger. Zeal makes a repentant soul persist in godly sorrow against all discouragements and oppositions whatsoever. Zeal carries a man above himself for God's glory. Paul, before conversion, was mad against the saints. Acts 26, verse 11. After conversion, he was judged mad for Christ's sake. Paul, thou art beside thyself. Acts 26, verse 24. But it was zeal, not frenzy. Zeal animates spirit and duty. It causes fervency in religion, which is as fire to the sacrifice. Romans 12, verse 11. As fear is a bridle to sin, so zeal is a spur to duty. Number 7, revenge. A true penitent pursues his sins with a holy malice. He seeks the death of them, as Samson was avenged on the Philistines for his 2 eyes. He uses his sins as the Jews used Christ. He gives them gall and vinegar to drink. He crucifies his lusts. Galatians 5, verse 24. A true child of God seeks to be revenged most of those sins that have dishonored God most. David did by sin defile his bed. Afterwards, by repentance, he watered his bed with tears. Israel had sinned by idolatry, and afterwards they did offer disgrace to their idols. He shall defile also the covering of thy graven images of silver. Isaiah 30, verse 22. The Israelite women, who had been dressing themselves by the hour and had abused their looking glasses to pride, afterwards, by way of revenge as well as zeal, offered their looking glasses to the use and service of God's tabernacle. Exodus 38, verse 8. So those conjurers who used curious arts or magic, when once they repented, brought their books and, by way of revenge, burned them. Acts 19, verse 19. These are the blessed fruits and products of repentance. If we can find these in our souls, we have arrived at that repentance which is never to be repented of. 2 Corinthians 7, verse 10.